What's up, guys? We got some Madden new, and I'll tell you about it right after this trailer plays. Alright guys, and there we have it. The new Madden 15 War in the Trenches 2.0 trailer. I wonder, how do you guys feel about it? Me? I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about what I've seen. For the most part, most of it was pretty much just directions on how to use pretty much the buttons for the D-line and when you want to circle around guys and how that whole thing works, how you can equip it, change the camera angles, things like that. All of that is stuff I covered in my E3 videos, which I have a playlist for this whole entire thing, and I'll have that down in the description. So I'm not going to reiterate the same things over and over, but what I will say is, man, those Buccaneers uniforms are clean. My lord. And could you imagine if we had these visuals that we have actually in game? I mean, it's not going to be like that because it's just impossible to run a football game like that. You have to actually have the gameplay aspect, which is stuff we're waiting for. We're seeing some of it, but of course a lot of this stuff is pre-rendered. One thing I'm seeing is a lot of good double team blocking, which is something that we need until we get like full-blown gameplay where we're seeing a full game, not just a quarter, and we're seeing different teams and how different teams play. The one thing that I want to see the most is how the D-line interacts, or how the O-line interacts with the D-line, how the O-line blocks downfield. I just want to see the logic. I want to see, let's say you got a pulling guard running downfield with you, and he has a choice to either block who's directly in front of you, someone that's going to directly impact the running play, or he decides to go around that guy and go in the opposite direction and block somebody else that has no chance of making the tackle. That's something that I desperately want to see, and that's something that doesn't seem to be much of the focal point that they're pushing right now when it comes to this game. They're pushing a lot of stuff right now with the defensive line and buttons that you could push to get around the O-line. Now, we get that, that's great, but the offensive line's logic just doesn't make much sense. So, are we seeing double team blocking here? Sure we are, but we saw that same double team blocking in last year's trailers and things like that. We've seen it in the year before, and we always thought, oh, double team blocking, they finally got it. Sure, they have it sometimes, but not all the time. You'll have a one-man rush and you're sitting there blocking 5 linemen. You'll have one lineman occupy, you have 4 guys just standing around instead of going on ahead and looking to see who they can block. Logic, people, logic. And this is why I say we need to see full-blown gameplay. We need to see guys that's going to put defensive linemen in bag D and see what the offensive line is going to do. And until we see that, we're going to be stuck looking at this pre-rendered stuff and saying, oh man, this looks great, I can't wait for the next Madden. And then when we get the next Madden, we're going to get hit with the crazy haymaker. Me personally, I don't fall for it anymore, even though this stuff does look sweet. I don't fall for it anymore. I don't get my hopes up, because that way you keep your hopes low for Madden, and if they do deliver, you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's a shame that it has to be that way, but that's just the way it is after you condition yourself long enough. My question is, when are we going to get some MUT information? Can we get some MUT information? I know you guys are really wanting to see some MUT information, and there's a handful of guys that know the MUT information. There's some other guys that are in the know because they speak to some people that went and yada yada yada. I'm not one of those people. I don't know anything about anything.